If you're a dinosaur player, this is going to be a regional that you're about to really enjoy. Don't be like the 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We're going to be looking at the Paraguay regional here, and we have a lot of info here. We actually have the participating deck list here to start showcasing that Sword Soul and Trap Tricks were the two most represented decks that players opt to enter with. That's not all that surprising to me, to be honest with you. We had Mech on the follow-up here. That deck has been an absolute monster this format. Let's see that we have Sprite and Hero as your next follow-up. Hero having as much representation as Sprite is interesting to me. And then we have Dinosaur, Labyrinth, Kashtira, and Branded Despia, all having semi-low numbers here, which is kind of interesting to me as a player, just to take note here, that such low representation does make me kind of wonder, you know, what that was. And we had 27 others up here as well, so that's all kind of interesting to see. As we shift on into your top 8 here, you do see that Sprite has your largest representation of the pie chart here, taking up 25% of your field here, which I'm not surprised to see that Sprite had the highest representation here. I don't think a lot of people are going to be surprised about that either. We also had Mech taking up one top cut spot. Once again, not that surprised. Branded Despia, Sword Soul. Sword Soul's been on a little bit of a decline as of late. Depends on the region, but it has not had it particularly easy. We also have a Trap Tricks list and a Kashtira list. Those are some pretty big mainstays here. And then we have Dinosaurs actually locking down a regional top cut here as well, which is honestly the main reason why I wanted to talk about this regional. Anytime you can see dinosaurs kind of shaking things up, it's always worth it to kind of keep an eye on. So, man, what an interesting, diverse top cut meta here. Now, winning this regional was none other than Mech. To the people out here that don't know how to handle the Mech matchup, yeah, this deck incredibly pushes it in. And trust me when I say this, I'm not surprised. The biggest thing with Mech, Small World, is the card that allows this deck the chance to capitalize. And this build actually went one step further to actually play cross-out designators to edge out its worst particulars, like Nibiru. Actually, that's kind of good. I also see we're playing one Lava Golem in here as well. That's kind of cute. And then, of course, we're playing one Equation, one Superfactorial, no Induction. And is that an Expulsion that... we're signing the Expulsion so we can cross out Designator it. Huh. You know, I thought I had seen everything at this point in time, but that is hilarious that we've gone to the point now of citing the Expulsion to stop the opponent. All right. Second place here is our Despia variant. And, of course, we are playing the Dark Magician to make the Dragoon. I don't think I have seen a list this format that has not been playing Dragoon. Dragoon has been the go-to for Despia at this point. And, honestly, it's the only real reason why it seems like the Despia gets a chance to really do anything. Does it make the deck, you know, completely unwinnable? No. It just puts you in a better position than I feel like you were at some of the other formats here. Also, Fusion Deployment is an absolutely insanely good card for this deck. We're still doing the Gimmick Puppet lockdown there. Yay! You love to see that. Perfectly honest with you, for everything else that's kind of going on with this deck, it all feels pretty normal at this stage. I don't really see anything out of left field here that looks too crazy. Yeah, Despia, pretty standard formulae. Next up here, we have our Evil Twin Sprite deck. Really? Evil Twin Sprite was the variant that saw success out here. So you are playing your standard maximized Sprite numbers. Of course, 1 carat, 1 of the red. Okay, Evil Twin package. We're just on 1 of each of the Kiss Used to Kills. And then 3 of the lows. I mean, I guess I've seen a lot more cutback on everything Kiss Used to Kill named for a lot of these variants, just because, like, it doesn't feel that good. See the remaining double Econ, double Book, and, of course, the double Talents as well here. So you have So many options to board break here with this deck that it's kind of crazy. And I see we're also side decking anti-scam fragrance down there as well. So if your opponent's trying to do anything that's going to feel a little bit off of left field, you should have plenty of ways to kind of capitalize and make sure that that doesn't actually happen. All right, I like what we're seeing here. Next variation here is Sword Soul. Wow, Sword Soul made it all the way to top 4. That's been a little bit since we've seen one kind of, you know, push further ahead here. This variation is, of course, you're playing your 10E package. We are playing the 1 water in this build, which is fine at the end of the day. I do think that the water one does give this deck more access to stabilize for the actual effect of it. Also, a level 4 that you can tune with is always going to be really good. Stepping stones for level 8's incredibly useful. I don't see anything. We're not playing the Ice Jade Synchro, which I know a lot of people are like, you have to play the Ice Jade, and like, it's so good, but you really don't have to. It does give more options to the deck, but it's not something that I feel like the deck has to completely commit to or build into it. Completely optional in my personal opinion. Whether or not you opt to play it, that's up to you, but I do like what we are seeing here for the most part. Alright, next up here, we have our Trap Tricks deck. So 5th place was actually Trap Tricks. Of course, they are sporting off evenly matched. If you're trying to play Trap Tricks this format, I don't think you're not playing evenly. I feel like you're just losing a lot of potential for your deck. You do need to understand that those power cards are going to be reasons why you can take games. Alright, especially when you evenly match and you go ahead and establish a Trap Tricks field, your opponent's not recovering from that. You call it what it is, but it's incredibly good. I also see that we're playing the Pot of Prosperity here. You can take away whatever resources that you don't need for the matchup that you're playing and filter for whatever value you need. It's also a Dig 6 to see evenly matched, and that actually can mean something here. And of course, we're citing the Gaga Cowboy for time. Yeehaw, partner. What an interesting combination of things, but I like what we're seeing here once again. Next up here is our other Sprite deck. Alright, so this is the Adventure Sprite deck. Now, we're pretty used to seeing this. I mean, I think this has been the more dominant build, as like, not saying the others aren't having success, but you've definitely got a lot of room out here for this deck. We are playing Reprodicus down here. Reprodicus has moved in and become one of the more usable cards for this deck because you get access to changing your monster's type and or attribute into whatever you need. It's also very generic, so that's something to really consider here. Also, the whole Droll and Lockbird thing in this deck just makes your matchups incredibly stronger. Trust me, certain matchups when you Droll and Lockbird, you just go into such a winning position. Your opponent's like, well, what am I supposed to do about that? And of course, talents into the Thrust. We're not maining evenlies, which is kind of an interesting choice with the Thrust in the main, but I see what they're trying to. I mean, you can toggle for really anything that you need to. So many options. Outside of that, I like this list. It's doing some very interesting things. Dimensional barriers down on the side too. Next up here is our Kashtira deck. Alright, so we are main decking triple Lava Golem. I don't know what this duelist was really afraid of, but Lava Golem's been kind of falling out of favor. Not so much for like kaijus or things like that, but for control. I also see that we are playing the evenly matches in this deck, but we're not playing 3. We're not even siding the 3rd, which is kind of interesting. We're also side decking the Dimension Shifters. Shifter has kind of started to show up a lot more lately in terms of the side decks to kind of just, I guess, be a mainstay at this point. I also see that we're playing Dimensional Barrier, Solemn Judgments. A lot of the same stuff that you see across the board here. We're playing the 1 Ogre for the preparation. So standard. Honestly, if you've noticed, the Kashtira Tier Elements monster has been scrapped from about 90% of these lists. They don't even opt to play it anymore. There's no point. Like, the field that this deck sets up is usually good enough, and your opponent's just going to be like, what do I do? Well, nothing. And then our Dinosaur Deck at the end of the day back here. We are playing the little doodle guy. That makes me incredibly happy to see the little doodle dinosaur. Honestly, scrap package is very, very standard. You don't really have a way not to play that. I mean, it's going to generate your most value. Animador Archosaur. Everything else here for this list, I hate to say it, but it's incredibly basic. Like, I wish I could say more about dinosaurs, but so many of these list and variants do feel very, 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 well, copy and paste, unfortunately. So what do you guys think about this breakdown? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.